Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Hall of Fame game 2019 Falcons, Broncos. Hey, it's preseason for everybody, including me. Football is back. Celebrate. Man, that was some horrible football. But every single year we say the same thing. You're going to watch the first 5 minutes of this game. You're going to be excited, and then you're going to realize this is some bullshit, man. And that's exactly what happened tonight. And normally you don't get anybody of note in these games, especially the Hall of Fame game. And generally for the first preseason game. But at least when it's your team, and when you're watching that first preseason game, you know the backups. So you're looking intently at draft picks and other players that are on the roster bubble, and you're trying to see who's making a case to try to make the 53-man roster. And so you're trying to put pieces of the puzzle together when it's your favorite team. When it's teams you don't give a shit about, after the first possession and all the starters are out, man, if they don't get the hell out of here with this shit. And I was watching this game, and I'm like, man, this is a hard watch. But it was football, man. Boy, was it beautiful to see green grass and guys are running around tackling each other, even if it was players that probably won't play in the league, or at least not for these respective teams down the line. In any event, man, is it good to see football back. And this is the biggest takeaway from tonight. We will have football for the next 6 months. Every single weekend. Now, for the next 4 weeks, it won't count, but that's fine. All right? And intermingled in there towards the end, we'll get some college football that does count. So, in any event, there will be football on your television screen. Live action, even for every single week moving forward for 6 whole months. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in. That's the significance of tonight's game. Not the fact that football was back on because the product was trash. However, the fact that football was back on and we're not going to be without for the next 6 months should make every single person out there that loves the game just as much as I do rejoice. Celebrate! We got football on for the next 6 months. So, not many takeaways from the game, obviously. If I'm a Falcons fan, I thought Ben Kirk looked good. And, it's a shame that he hurt his toe because, hey, Matt Schaub, getting up there in age, you probably need a quality backup. He looked like he was the part tonight. So if there's a takeaway for me, there were three takeaways for me if I'm a Falcons fan. One, Ben Kirk looked good. Hopefully he's not hurt seriously. Hopefully those x-rays come back negative and he's fine and it's just a toe sprain. And toe sprains can be pretty significant. I don't remember what foot it was, but if that's the foot you drive off of, he could be out for a while, but we'll see what happens there. Giorgio Tavecchio missed a field goal. 52 yards, I believe it was, 54. Nah, come on, bro. The last kick I had, he didn't miss shit from 50-0. So we brought you in here because you got a big leg and you were hitting everything last year. I'd like you to not miss field goals this year. So you haven't had field goal kicking problems in the A in a minute. Matt Bryant has been a rock for you. Hey, Giorgio, don't come in here effing around, man. Seriously. I told the Falcons to hold on to you last year because you won't miss shit. I'd like you to keep it that way. He missed a kick tonight. It's the preseason for everybody, so I'm going to act like that didn't happen. I'm going to need you to get your act together, though. And my last takeaway for the Falcons, hey, Brian Hill looked pretty good as a backup. Remember, they drafted him out of Wyoming like 3 years ago or so. Then he ended up not making the team. He got picked up on waivers. He was gone for a second. Then he's back in Act 2 as an Atlanta Falcon. He looks really good, man. Caught the touchdown, the only touchdown the Falcons had on the night. Brian Hill looks good as a backup option. We all know they drafted Ollison, to be a short yardage back. They still have Ito Smith, who's kind of a third down change of pace guy. And then obviously you're hoping Devontae Freeman's healthy this year. But when you look at that group, I think Brian Hill could be your new Tevin Coleman. We'll see. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So those are my takeaways. on that side, when you look at the Broncos, the only thing I was really looking at was, they kind of spotlighted Dalton Reisner early. That's cool. But Noah Fant looked okay. He didn't look great. Dropped the first pass, caught the second one, but used his body, which is something that I talked about when I broke him down. Is he's a guy that likes to catch with his body, not the most natural hands in the world, but he can catch with his hands. He'll be what I took away from the offense that they're running is that he's going to have a field day if he's healthy. He's going to be open with all the play action fakes, all of the zone run blocking. It looks so Shanahan-esque, and they talked about the coordinator that they have and how he's from the Shanahan tree. It makes a lot of sense, and this is the perfect offense for a guy like Noah Fant. And they talked about that during the telecast, and I couldn't agree with them more. There's going to be so much open space, so many linebackers that have to freeze thinking about run, and he's so fast, he's just going to run by guys. I'm looking forward to him having a big season potentially, but a massive career if he stays in this type of offense. And then my biggest takeaway was obviously Drew Lock. He's my guy. I didn't think he looked all that good tonight. Missed some deep balls, which is his specialty. Missed some guys down the field that I thought he could have hit. And some of that is nerves, his first game. Some of it is footwork. One of the deep balls down the sideline to Kafani Muhammad. That was some poor footwork on his part, which was one of his biggest issues coming into the league. Drew Lock will be fine, though. He's still my guy. And thought he was a little rusty tonight. Thought he looked like a guy that is kind of still learning the NFL, the speed of the game. Again, quarterbacks aren't getting hit in camp. He was under duress quite a few times. Quite often, I actually took a sack, took a couple of big hits. He'll be okay, but he wasn't sharp tonight at all. But all in all, that's, in a nutshell, the Hall of Fame game. There really wasn't much to see, but it's the Hall of Fame game, right? I mean, it's probably going to be the same thing for most teams in preseason game number one. You probably won't have massive takeaways in the preseason until we get to game number 2 and 3, and then teams will shut it down for game number 4 again. So that's the preseason, in a nutshell. Games 1 and 4 for me, not really much to do about much. You do want to see the young guys, and for me, being a Redskins fan, it's going to be a great time to look at a lot of young players because we got a very young football team. A lot of young guys gonna have to play extensive minutes in the preseason, and so it's gonna give us a chance to look at a lot of these younger players. If you got a veteran team, the preseason is the absolute worst for you. If you're a team with a bunch of veterans that are really just looking forward to the regular season and trying to get to the postseason, the preseason is not for you. The preseason is designed for young teams that are on the up and up, that you probably won't do much damage come regular season time, but you got a lot of young players that need the reps and the experience. And so the preseason will be fun for some teams out there and less fun for others. But I digress. I'm just happy that football is back. And so let's get to the comment section and see if you guys have anything to say. We won't spend too much time here. Again, it's the Hall of Fame game. I'm not going to bore you with any of that stuff. I'm just happy football's back, to be honest with you. So, and I know a lot of you are as well. I saw Twitter, a lot of you I saw posting that football was back, and that's pretty much the overarching theme of the night, is that football is back. And not really much more to say other than that. You're excited about football being back. And so let's get to a couple comments and then we'll get out of here. Mondraw says, back like cooked crack. I'm excited for the new season. You and me both, bruh. You and me both. Ree says, Lou, sing it with me. 1, 2, 3. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I sung it on the podcast as well. Louie T Network podcast. If you haven't already checked it out, what are you waiting on? Check out the podcast. New episode will be uploaded tomorrow. Matter of fact, one more takeaway from the game, and I should have led with this because this was probably the biggest thing that happened in the game was the new challenge rule for pass interference. Um, the Denver Broncos challenged a pass interference call that was on them. So when you think of this rule, you're usually thinking of it from the offensive team's perspective. Oh, they missed a PI call. We're gonna throw the flag and have them take a look to see if it was pass interference. Well, this was actually unique because the pass interference challenge came from the defensive team who thought that it wasn't PI. And so they had the referees take a look. They got shut down with the quickness. I mean, it was swift. Um, First of all, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I absolutely abhor this rule. I can't stand it with a passion. It's a 1-year trial basis, so I'm hoping that they do away with it next year. But it wasn't that bad tonight on the one challenge. It was quick. They said, nah, that's still pass interference, bro. So we'll see how this goes throughout the course of the season. This isn't the first time the NFL has made a change that was met with opposition, and then as the season wears on, we say, it's not that bad, and then they actually keep it. And so we'll see what happens with this rule. It wasn't that bad tonight, but anything that slows the game down is a negative for me. And this is too subjective of a call to go to the monitor for it. It's not black and white, which is what really replay was designed to do, is overturn missed calls on the field that are black and white calls. Knee not down, ball comes loose, it's a fumble. 2 feet not in bounds, that's not a catch. That sort of thing, where there's no debating, either it is or it isn't. This is subjective, which makes it tough for them to go to the monitor and still make a decision. So in any event, we did get the first PI challenge. It was a quick one. We'll see. There will be many more of those to come, for sure. All right, back to the comment section. BE says that Falcons backup looks good and had some bad plays, but also had some plays that showed he can be a backup. I talked about Ben Kirk looking really sharp tonight at times out of Virginia. Sean Mack says, I like the preseason. We get to see the rookies in the backup battles. Remember, Tom Brady was a backup until Drew Bledsoe got a punctured lung on a sideline hit against the Jets. While this is all true, it still doesn't diminish the fact that the preseason is a horrible product. However, as I mentioned, if you've got a young team with a bunch of young players that are going to make your football team, it's fun to see the development of those players. However, if you've got a veteran team and there aren't many roster spots, and for the most part, if you've got a veteran team and about 45 of your roster spots are already spoken for, and really you've got about 20, 25 guys fighting for 8 roster spots on the back end of the roster, preseason isn't all that great. So that's pretty much what I was alluding to. Reese says, I checked in here and there. I couldn't watch all of it, partly because the mere sight of the Falcons makes me want to vomit. I know you're a Bucs fan and you're not a huge Falcons supporter. It's still family though, man. Gotta support the family, right? Ree also says, Lou, I wanted to let you know before you do your NFC South video, you said you can't see BA lasting longer than 2 years. He said that he'll only leave after 2 years if he wins a title. He says that now until his health creeps up on him and he's got to step down after 2 seasons. Again, his health wasn't great. He's feeling great now because he stepped away from the game for a couple of years. Here's the situation, though. Or was it 1 year that he stepped away from the game? I think it was only 1 year. So he's feeling good. It's just like, players that retire, like Gronk. He's probably going to feel good about week 10 and want to play football again because he's away from the game and his body had a chance to heal up. Same thing with BA. His mind had a chance to relax, body feeling good, and then he's going to come back into a high-stress situation, which is exactly what coaching is. Not going to get the kind of sleep he was getting when he was away from the game. Going to be on the sideline screaming at officials. All of the things that made him physically unable to continue coaching is going to come back. Again, I'm not hoping that happens to him, but I watched this guy struggle with his health, and I don't think that he's going to be there longer than 2 years. So, um, Nick Riley, my man Nick and Knight says, I thought Dalton Reisner was fantastic. Noah Fant was a bit up and down, had that one ugly drop, but had some beautiful blocks in the run game. He's going to develop. He's going to be just fine in that offense. I think it's tailor-made for him as well, so it's a good look for him. Sean Mack says, Ohio State Buckeye rookies had great debut games. Sheffield and Jones were making plays on defense and special teams. I thought that Jones looked really good along the defensive line. Blackbird Blitz talked about Kafani Muhammad. He actually did look good. Reese says, man, Chris Collinsworth is nauseating. He would be perfect for insomnia. He could put anyone right to sleep. I know a lot of you kill Collinsworth. I don't have a Collinsworth problem. The only problem I have with Chris Collinsworth is that he's always pushing that damn football focus on, because it's his product, on the damn telecast. That's the only thing that I hate. Other than that, I don't have a problem with him at all. Ree also says, I bet Tony Romo being in the booth could make this game interesting. Dude is the truth. Nah, you can't clean this up. Not at all. You can't put lipstick on this right here. This isn't going to clean it up. Ree says, what's the best preseason game you've ever seen? I don't think that I have one. You know, I don't ever file away preseason games in the cabinet like, man, that was an epic preseason game. I'm never going to forget that one. I know where I was the time that the Redskins went over to Osaka and beat the 49ers with Steve Spurrier in 2003, 51-10. Like, I don't do that. Like, it's the preseason, man. I don't have a best preseason game. Reese says, BA has lost 25 pounds, Louie. Says he wants to lose 15 more. He's a new man. I don't think his health would be an issue. Again, I hope you're right. I hope you're absolutely right. BA is my guy. All right. I said that the cool cat with the hat to match has always been Uncle B. I want to see this guy be healthy and do what he loves because he loves coaching. That's why he's back. But again, he's going to have to take care of himself. You can lose 25 pounds when you're not coaching. It's easy to go to the gym and do the things that you didn't have time to do. Now that you're back to coaching, now that you're not getting the type of sleep that you were getting, now that you're not eating the way that you once were, let's see if he's able to stay on this regimen, keep the weight off, lose additional pounds that he wants to lose, and stay in a good mental space. I'll be happy if he does that. Dervo the Doom says, the catch in the end zone for the Broncos was holy. What do you think? It was a nice catch on a fourth down, threw up a prayer, and it was answered. It was tipped in the air. Great job by Winfrey, the rookie out of Colorado. I think he was a 6th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's a dramatic way to win the football game. Nice way for them to start off their season. Sean Mack says, oh, you were helping out somebody. So that is it. Preseason game number 1 in the books. Hall of Fame game. Denver Broncos get the win 14-10 over the Atlanta Falcons. Let me ask you something. And you could leave this in the comment section after the video is done so I can actually read it. But who's your favorite Hall of Famer that's going in this year's class? I'm not blown away by this year's class, although Ed Reed and Champ Bailey and Tyler, or Ed Reed, Tony Gonzalez, and Champ Bailey all deserve to be first ballot Hall of Famers. And I mean, those guys are outstanding. And they grew up in my era of watching football. So those guys, I'm excited. Kevin Mawai, was he really a Hall of Fame center? Like, I kind of missed the boat on him, I guess. I never looked at Kevin Mawai and said, hey, that dude's a future Hall of Famer. So I love Gil Brandt, even though he's a Cowboy, which, you know, makes me sick to my stomach. That dude is awesome. And I love the way that he is kept up with the times. I mean, Gil Brandt's got to be every bit of like 85, and he still conducts himself like he's 25. He's on social media all the time. How many people do you know that are 60 that still can't get the hang of Twitter or doesn't understand what a tweet is and how to go about posting on Facebook? And yet Gil Brandt is out here maneuvering like some of these young guys out here, man. it's fun and refreshing to watch. And he's forgotten more football than most of us will ever know. And so I love listening to him tell stories. I actually enjoyed his interview tonight with Michelle Tafoya talking about how the computer helped the Cowboys in the 60s and how they deviated from the computer one time, and that one time happened to be Joe Montana. So my favorite guy going into the Hall of Fame, obviously, for selfish reasons, is Champ Bailey. Being that he was once a Redskin, I watched him in his infant stages. Never wanted him to leave, but when he pretty much realized that the Redskins were a sorry organization, he wanted out, and Joe Gibbs came in and couldn't convince him to stay, and so they traded him straight up. Well, they didn't trade him straight up. They robbed us is what they did, because Champ Bailey was better than Clinton Portis, and we still threw in a second-round pick. How is that? I still don't understand that trade to this day. But I digress. I'm talking, and I'm off subject. I'm on a tangent. You know I can do that. And so let me get the hell out of here. I am your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. There'll be more coverage coming of the preseason, but before that happens, we'll be breaking down more divisions. And before that happens, you'll get another Louie T Network podcast coming your way. So make sure your eyes and ears are open for that. New episode will be up tomorrow. Also, we'll be breaking down 2 more divisions next week. Tuesday, we'll be breaking down the NFC South. And Wednesday, we'll be breaking down the AFC West. So come back and join me for those 2 divisions as we break those down, open up the phone lines, and let you guys have at it. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Until next time, guys, football is back like cook crack. Yes! Celebrate! Doesn't get much better than this. It's the most wonderful time of the year. See y'all later, man.
Louie T Network.